Hello there. Thanks for joining us. This is the Signature Show, and I'm Vin Martin Obiora Ilo. Well, in a lot of places in Nigeria today, sometimes they sound like murmurs, sometimes you hear it in public, but there's a growing concern about what some opponents of this government have called intimidation of the opposition. Be it the PDP, be it journalists, be it civil society, be it even members of their own party. They are suggesting that as we come close to the elections, that we are seeing this subtle intimidation. And that's our focus today. Is the government being wrongly accused? Are they doing something that points in that direction that there may be subtle intimidation of opposition? Well, if they are not, why should people say they are? These are the issues we want to look at today on The Signature Show.
Are you 18 years and above? Have you registered with the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC? Do you have your permanent voter card, PVC? If your answer is yes, what about your family members, your friends, your colleagues, and your neighbors? Remember, your vote can guarantee a better future for Nigeria and Nigerians. Your vote can make all the difference. Your vote is your power. Don't sit on the fence. Be an active citizen. This is a Signature Show contribution to better citizen participation in governance.
Yes, this is the Signature Show, and I'm glad you're still with us. And joining me to look at this seeming allegation of intimidation of the opposition by the present government, I have in the studio Austin AIGBE, Senior Programs Officer, Center for Democracy and Development. Austin, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
And my old friend Frank Tietie, Human Rights Lawyer. Frank.
Always a pleasure being around.
To have you.
Thank you.
I'll start by asking Tietie, why are some people accusing the government of subtle intimidation?
I speak to issues in the political space and with also the regards to the judiciary, other arms of government, including the judiciary and the legislature. Do not forget that this government blazed the trail in the invasion of judges' homes at the outset of this administration. This government seems to have mastered the use and abuse of executive authority to achieve political ends. And so when you say it is subtle, subtle intimidation, I would say no. Where the judiciary has been cowed and they cower each time in matters where they ought to have exercised clear independence, that is the effect of intimidation.
But Austin, yes, do you agree with Tietie's argument that indeed there's intimidation, not subtle, but brazen intimidation?
I mean, it will, to be clear and to be straightforward, we may want to define who is an opposition so we can have a proper understanding of the context. But I'm thinking, if by the example that Tietie has given, talking about the judiciary, all over the world, there are institutions that checkmate actions and inactions of those in authority, whether in the executive, the legislature, or the judiciary. So, for example, you have an FBI who can burst into the house of a judge anywhere in the world because of allegations that have been levied against the so-called judge, or that can bust a governor and they take him up. But where we have in Nigeria, because of the way the structure is, the system, I mean, we are in a system challenge where there's always allegation each time you have the DSS or the SSS or the police going after so-called opposition people, it is assumed that the executive had sent them. So where you have, for example, we're talking about Tietie, talking about Dino. Dino is APC. Dino is not an opposition candidate. Dino is APC, the government of the day is APC. So are we going to say Dino is an opposition person? No, of course I will argue that no. Dino belongs to the majority party as of today.
But some people are saying that yes, Dino belongs to the APC, But when he was in a romance, in quotes, with the government, when he was almost the spokesman of the APC, nothing went wrong until he started criticizing some policies of the Buhari administration. That makes him opposition inside the APC.
Well, I quite agree that you can be opposition within a system, but you belong to the ruling political party. So there are issues you would have discussed out within without taking it outside. But I think all of the things that Dino has said, is there anything that was false? Of course, no. He was speaking truth to power. And anybody can speak truth to power, including you and I. I speak truth to power any time of the day. I will continue to speak truth to power. Does that make me an opposition? No. I just exercise my right as a citizen of Nigeria. And because from when you concentralize opposition, there are people who do not agree with your views. Again, maybe in this context, politically, you're looking at APC, PDP, Labour. They can then look at it from an opposition point of view. Because I think that's a general norm. That's a buzzword around here in Nigeria. If you say somebody's an opposition candidate, it's opposing the ruling party or is on the other side. For example, APC as of this, PDP as of this moment, it's opposition. It's in opposition, sorry to say, it's in opposition to the current government. So anything PDP say or do, it's like, come on, why are you always opposing the ruling government? But can you tell Dino, for example, why are you always opposing the ruling government? He's also part of the ruling government. So my argument is that I will agree to some degree that all over in history of Nigeria, there's always been some level of degree of opposition intimidation. Whether now, whether last year, whether last regime, there's always been that level. If you listen to Alhaji Lai Mohammed before they took over government in 2015, they have accused the PDP-led government of intimidating them. So today, the ball has just turned around. So the PDP is now accusing the ruling party of intimidation. And that will continue because part of what is on the table is that in an attempt to intimidate or further intimidate is to lock down all opposition accounts in the banks. And that's a major one. Because as we head to election, you need money to run elections. So by the time the ruling government, by way of court verdict or court procedures or EFCC intimidation, lock down, freezes an account like the one just done to the governor of Ekiti, even though that's a legal procedure, that's part of it. So you may want to look at it from a perspective of opposition. But if the court actually say that Governor Fayose, what EFCC are levying against you is right, then that becomes a legal issue. And I don't want to think that it's an executive intimidation.
Okay, let's go to specifics because Tete, you raised issues with the judiciary. And I was going to say, is the judiciary opposition? But let's go to specific issues. Let's go to Dino Melaye. That's the big one now. That's the one everyone is talking about. If Dino Melaye, for instance, had funded the gentleman we saw on TV who had been caught, with arms, have been in violent situations and all that. If truly they were funded by Dino Melaye, are you saying that maybe the authorities in Kogi State or the police authorities should just fold their hands and look at him just to be sure they won't be accused of intimidation?
In the case of Dino Melaye, you need to look at the antecedents. Dino Melaye has been hated by the political power brokers in Kogi State. In fact, the political purveyors in the Kogi State and controllers of power in Kogi State have always hated Dino Melaye. And Dino Melaye has actually issued scathing criticism of this government, not only that of Governor Yahya Bello, but that of the president as well. Because if no senator like Dino Melaye has criticized the president and this administration the way he has done, for example, by the way he draws attention to the incompetence of the administration in tackling the intractable herdsmen crisis in the Benue and other parts of the country. Dino has recently caught a reputation as someone who stands for the people, as against other politicians. So it's no doubt an object of envy. This is a man in the eye of the storm when it comes to the contention for good governance on behalf of the people. Nobody says that. I think because of even when people like the Bruce speak issues of common sense, they are not free from intimidation, because the other day they reminded him he could lose Silverbird Galleria, for talking too much of common sense. The point we are making with regards to Dino is this: some boy somewhere from nowhere just come and say it was Dino that gave us money, and that was the money he gave to us that we use in buying guns. Just anybody can say that, and on that you see how the police moves with so much gusto, ensuring that the man is arrested, is prosecuted, as if we would experience the same kind of zeal on the part of the police in other issues that we expect them to do.
They invited him. They said they needed him for interrogation.
And the man immediately issued a statement. And I think he was rightly advised by his lawyers that you are inviting me to a place where I have escaped assassination 2 times. And not only that, when you, the police, intervened and investigated the issue of the attempted assassination against my life, I'm quoting Dino now, in a matter of about 48 hours, the police turned around again and said that having paraded certain persons as the suspected persons who attempted to take Dino's life, who attempted to kill Dino, the van which becomes an exhibit which they use, even the weapons and all of them are all in the court as exhibit. The matter was even charged to court. And suddenly you turned the victim, Dino Melaye, from nowhere to become an accused person just by saying that he gave false information. So the information he gave, which we investigated and arrested certain persons and arraigned them before court, has suddenly become a false information. Whereas the information you got from boys you got in the street who don't have any nexus with Dino in any way, you can now so readily believe in that one and proceed to arrest him. No, it's just the pattern and the non-plausibility of these allegations, and then we just come to the conclusion that look, this man is being framed up, he's a victim, and he's actually paying the price of taking such a hard stance against the party that controls power, in which he's also a member. So what we're saying is that the administration should have been fair enough to create the impression that it allows opposition indeed. Yes, I consider Dino as a strong opposition element because he speaks against the current status quo by which this government operates.
Okay, we'll take a break. When we return, we'll talk more on this issue. The former Director General of Nigeria Television Authority (NTA), Dr. Tony Iradia, has called for post-school training of journalists and information managers in the country to bring them up to speed with modern techniques in the industry. He emphasized the need for post-event publicity to avail the target audience opportunity of understanding media messages. Dr. Iradia, who made this call at a 2-day advanced media relation and advocacy training organized by Nigeria Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative (NEITI), also underscored the imperative of effective communication in every organization. The former DG, while speaking on basics of crisis communications, said information is power and communication was empowerment.
The problem is that there's the economy really, and many of these media houses are poorly funded. Even the government media that's supposed to get subventions, the subvention stops only with salaries. At the end of the day, there's nothing really remaining for you to say you want to go to manpower development. So that makes it quite difficult. Salaries are also poor. So you find that even the staff, when you want to give them training, they are more interested in the allowances that go with the training than the training itself. So the long and short of it is that the latest methods of doing the job are not known to the staff, especially in this age of the social media, where technology is changing by the day, and news gathering has become a kind of instantaneous thing that people need to really understand how best to handle.
The Director of Communications of NAITI, Dr. Oji Obunaya Oji, explained the rationale behind the training.
We want to deepen the understanding and knowledge of our stakeholders, including our staff, who are our immediate direct publics. We want to expose them to new trends in communication, bring them to understand the new evolving dynamics in communication, the importance of communication in the work of the Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, and we want to also use that opportunity to build partnership and cooperation between NAITI and those we communicate to.
He said that the need to communicate effectively and timely on issues that concern the organization's operational challenges is very vital. The communication director said NAITI assembled the best professionals in the field of communication who had paid their dues to share their knowledge, build capacity of participants, as well as expose them to modern dynamics of communication. While commending Trust Africa for funding the training, Oji said that NAITI will sustain the training to deepen the knowledge and understanding of staff and partners. On his part, a media expert and CEO Signature Communications Limited, Vin Martin Obiora Ilo, advised media relations officers to maximize the use of the new media. He commended NAITI for organizing the training to sharpen the communication skills of participants and expose them to modern techniques.
There's no way you can do media relations or public relations or anything related to it if you, the person who is in this business, you lack effective public relations of your own. There's no way. So, are you the kind of professional that a reporter walks into your office and then, first of all, you look at him from head to toe and be like, who is this one? Who is this one? Meanwhile, you are the public relations person of the organization. You are the first point. You are the one that is dealing with the outside. And then somebody comes to your office and, so how can I help you? You need to understand the vision, the mission, and the objectives of your organization. What is NAITI about?
A communications consultant and media trainer, Dr. K. Kechukwu, whose paper was entitled Development of Press Statements, Press Releases and Producing Impactful Media Products, emphasized the need to be concise and precise in drafting media messages. He listed the essential elements of press release to include content, audience, and medium. So Austin, still on the Dino Melaye issue, you know, the point I'm making is that there was an indictment. Police said we've investigated, we think there's some complicity on the part of Dino Melaye, and they're inviting him. And he's saying that Kogi is not safe for him. He has a lot of enemies. There's been assassination attempts. Because of all this, shouldn't the police invite him if they felt there are questions to answer?
I mean, what the police did was, will I say, is the right procedure to have invited him? Because again, there's an allegation, whether it was frame up or, you may not trust the Nigerian police, but that's the procedure. Someone alleged that a distinguished senator armed them for a specific purpose in Kogi. So the police have arrested them. And those individuals were being live to the world to see. And one of them, who was the leader of the gang, has openly alleged that this disgraced senator actually handed those, I mean, they met at Airport Road in Abuja. Because that's where the issue of my divergence come in. The place of the crime is Abuja, Airport Road, not Kogi. The senator apparently did not go to Kogi to arm them. So I think from what the discriminating senator was saying, based on fundamental right, he has a right to opinion, he has so clearly stated that I have been, just like Tete mentioned, on 2 or 3 occasions, I almost died. My vehicles had, it was shown on TV, we had bullet holes on his vehicles, and it was clear that yes, there was, whether he framed it up, I don't care, I don't know. But the most important thing is that there was a threat to his life. Now he has brought that to the fore. I am available in Abuja. I am a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Dino is a household name. In fact, Dino is very popular now. If you make the statistics, it may be even more popular than the president as of this moment. Dino lives in Abuja. His office is in Abuja. Dino has that when the senators were looking for him, when the police were looking for him, they said Dino was escaping. And that wasn't true. Dino was in the Senate chamber making noise. Oh, no, speaking on behalf of this constituency. Now, Dino also said that I'm here. If you want to see me, I am here. Why are you saying that I'm missing and I left the country? That wasn't true. And if you look at the politics, it becomes very suspicious. I think that's what my friend Tete was trying to bring to the fore. If you look, let's try to do an historical background of Kogi State. Dino was one of the frontliners for Governor Bello. People say Dino was one of the sponsors of that particular election, even though it was just the last election that took place that was in December, after the November election of 2015. People say too that at the time they were very close and they do all of those nominations, you send names and all that. At one point, the governor outrightly did not use the list sent by Dino, and that brought the love lost. So 2 good friends, and you know when 2 good friends go apart, it become war. So probably what's happening between Bello, the Governor Bello, and Senator Dino is that gap that has been created. And don't forget, people can easily come in when there's dispute between 2 good friends. People take advantage of it and use it. So people come to Dino and say all manner of things against the governor. And I'm sure, this is just an hypothesis. People may also go to the governor to say all manner of things against Dino. And now, there's a crisis in Kogi. Don't forget, there was already an existing crisis when Abubakar Hudu died before it was declared. And eventually, there was Falake, who was the running mate, ought to have been the candidate. And all of those episodes that happened. Now, Bello is not the governor. You expect that Dino should support him because of the pre-election support that he got. Now it's no more. And now your good friend is now the one speaking against your regime. So that gap has been created. Everything humanly possible for the governor to use to undermine a Senator Dino, he wants to use it. And part of it can be frame up. So these are theories. But what I'm pointing to is that if Dino has accurately stated that my life is not sure, I can be killed in Kogi because I have an axe to grind with the governor. And I'm the senator of the Federal Republic. I can go to the first headquarters here. Let the IG allow me. I think with the way our system works, this is not the United States. This is not Canada. With the way our system works, that a Senator Dino be given that opportunity to appear before the federal, the first headquarters, and then so interrogate. Don't forget too, that while the alleged assailant that Dino has sent were in Kogi being paraded, it was the first headquarters public relations officer, Jimo Moshood, that traveled from Abuja to Kogi to parade them. There has never been in history, I don't want to say history, but of recent.
Where that happened? When
that happened, that a first headquarters public relations officer would travel to a state, even when Evans, notorious Evans, as we so know, was paraded in Lagos. It was the first headquarters, it was the Lagos State Police Command that paraded Evans. When Anini of Bender State then was paraded. It was Pale Rice who was on special duty from the then General AIGBE that went to parade them, because it was on a special mission to go arrest Anini. So I have never seen a case where there's a deliberate action. It therefore means that these individuals in Kogi are very special, even though they were never wanted.
Some people are also saying that this is a calculated attempt to undermine Dino. Yes, let's wait until it looks like INEC is starting the process of recall, and then we cage him and he won't even be able to fight back. Would you agree to that suggestion?
You know, people must understand that politics is the legitimate way in exercising or in playing the game of power. But when politics is taken to an extreme, and when people don't know where to stop playing politics and attend to the difficult work of governance, we will keep having problems. So you hear this stereotype statement that don't politicize this matter, don't politicize this matter. It's true. When you politicize the use of power that is meant to guarantee safety, that is meant to ensure that the people have their welfare, when you lose that focus that comes from concentrating on that tough job of governance, you usually abuse power. And I'm talking to political office holders at this moment, particularly elected, the elected person as president and then elected persons as governors, because these are the persons who actually control force. The control of force in the state is very important. That is the reason why the actual controllers of force ought to be independent of the intrigues of politics. For some of us, we clearly believe that Dino, the police involvement in the Dino saga, falls short of independence and impartiality. You can imagine that the script is so well played that worldwide Dino would go to the Senate and boast that, look, why haven't these guys come to evade me? Why are they selling stories in the media that I fled to Europe or somewhere else? Why are they still allowing police protection for me in my house? Why? I have told them that my hands are clean and that if they do not presume that I am guilty, I am willing to submit myself to the force headquarters. Don't forget, if not because of politics, a senator of a presidential federalist state like the United States and Nigeria is not somebody you treat with, you give some special treatment, not because he's special, not because he is more important, but because of the level of responsibility he carries. He represents a people that constitutes a place what we call a senatorial district. You treat that kind of person with some measure of dignity. If at all there is any person that will enjoy the presumption of innocence, it is a man who has that kind of responsibility of protecting people. Why is it that you are so quick to remove that presumption of innocence? And why do you move against him? And then I've always questioned, why would all of those, large number of policemen that went to effect the arrest of Dino? The story we heard was that Dino attempted to escape. In fact, he jumped off the vehicle. And then, not only that, he was seen like a common beggar sitting on the floor, sitting on the ground in Area 1, shouting for help. And nobody bothers to explain to the people. And then that is followed with the man being handcuffed and then laid on the stretcher. We are talking about a senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria who has a counterpart in the United States. If it is not a deliberate abuse of power to diminish the man, and while he's in the hospital, a recall process has been hastened to ensure that the man does not exercise any of that, bravado that he's known for. So it becomes clear that the state power is now being used to emasculate the man and reduce him. Yes, citizens may not be able to talk, but they know now that, yes, they are coming to terms with the brute force of the state. The force of the state is supposed to be used against the enemy of the state. And the enemies of the state are those who are enemies of the people.
why would the force of the state be used against? Is the Dino an enemy of the people? Just because some person sat somewhere and said, Dino gave us the guns. Just like anybody can say, oh, Yaya Bello gave us guns. If anybody says Yaya tells to the police, Yaya Bello gave us these guns, the police will be more, will be more persuaded to believe that those persons are talking nonsense. And in fact, we'll see those people that they will see to it that they are punished. Then why is it that it is Dino that the people will say that he was the one that gave us guns, and then the police say, oh, let's move all the weight. The kind of weight you do not see that is moved against headsmen that are killing people all the time in Benue. That is the weight they will move against one man.
Sincerely, when I, for instance, saw Senator Melaye handcuffed on a stretcher with wounds and all that, I felt that that we were, getting overboard. But let me ask, this entire process, how does it help our democracy?
I fear for the Nigerian democracy. And if you listen to the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, why they had to stop proceeding because of a Dino, it sent the right message. And one of the senators had alleged that a thing like this had happened in 1983 and then 1985 that led to the coup d'etat that happened. And I was worried. I became more worried that where are we heading? Dino, certainly we have supporters, both in military, both in the paramilitary, both in the international community. We have supporters. Then, if you go to ask President Buhari now, do you have a hand in Dino's saga? It will tell you no. Then who is responsible for the Dino saga? Well, let me quickly just drop some things I think is important to drop. April 28th was the date set for the recall of Dino. Whether he was arrested or not has nothing to do with the process of the recall process.
They could have arrested him earlier. He could have. He was said to have been unnecessarily declared wanted in the first place. So the man had expected that they should have arrested him immediately, but they left him. He was free.
Now, my argument is not that there's an hasty process of recall.
No. The point is that even though that time had been fixed, the idea of declaring him wanted and waiting to effect the arrest at a time which would be very strategic to ensuring that his arm is broken, that he can no longer help himself.
But the important thing is that 28th of April was already set before the arrest.
And then no. Let him complete his line of thought.
Because the argument is that when the 28th is set, but the good thing is also that if you see what happened on the 28th of April, it was clear that the people decided can never be stopped. I think from the live feed we saw, it was evidential that a Dino is truly the representative of the people. I don't come from Kogi State, but you see people pointing at the list on the wall that INEC has pasted by the process of law. And people are telling, this is my wife's name. She did not sign this. This is my father's in-law. He did not sign this. This is my name. I did not sign it. These are very strong allegations.
And then this person is dead for the past 3 years. And even died before Dino became a senator.
You're right.
Those are the things that were seen there.
So actually pointed and said, this man died 4 years ago before the current regime. So it is clear, and I had tweeted that there need to be some forensic investigation. And anyone culpable of forging signatures should be allegedly declared this is a corruption case. It's not when you steal money that is corruption. And we should deal with this issue and pick them up, whoever is responsible, because that's the way to strengthen our democracy. Because what has happened to Dino now, it's not about Dino. It's not a person of Dino. It's about the process and the democratic architecture that we live in today. Tomorrow is going to happen to a second senator. It may be Shehu, Senator Shehu the next time. It may be the common sense senator. It may be just anybody.
That was one of the issues that are making people suggest that the state is intimidating citizens, be them opposition or otherwise. Let's look at what the PDP has also put forward. a lot of them have been classified in a list of looters under the thumb of the Minister for Information, a member of the Federal Executive Council of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Is it right for the PDP to say that this is intimidation of the opposition? And they went further to also say that all these are pointing towards 2019.
Clearly, I do not expect a Minister for Information to be responsible for the publication of the list of looters. And if you won't check, the first list released, coming from a lawyer, Alhaji Lai Mohammed is a lawyer. Coming from a lawyer, the first list released had number 1, Mr. Uche Secondus, the chairman of PDP. Whereas, Mr. Uche Secondus has not been in the news forever, only at a time when he was allegedly to have collected money and for the campaign vehicles and all that, and which we were told he returned, and the matter died. The people we know as the real ATM, so to say, in quote, we are simply the former NSA and the former Minister for Petroleum, who should make number 1 and number 2. You don't need to forget those kind of tools. But I was surprised when I saw the first list and like Jonathan's cousin. Was it directed? But again, there are speculation that these are script be written gradually ahead of 2019. Just what happened a few days ago too, when a distinguished Senator Matthew Roide moved a motion on the floor of the House calling for the impeachment of the president. On his way to Benin, his hometown, at the airport, he was allegedly manhandled and harassed by maybe agents of state, I don't know. But he was embarrassed. So the question is, gradually, if you say a word, I mean, again, that flow to the concept of there's a deliberate attempt to undermine the voice of opposition. But if you check what's happening, 2019, a better list may come out. I will expect the judiciary, there's an agent of government, which is the FCC or the ICPC, who should ordinarily, but I'm told in law, I'm not a lawyer, even though I did administrative law in school, that anyone is presumed innocent. Even though you caught him at the point of committing that crime, and he goes to court, he says, the judge will ask, are you guilty or not? The response from the lawyer will say that you are not guilty. And the case can go on forever. We don't operate a judicial system like in the US where you have the plea bargain. So, okay, just accept. We have done all investigation. This is what you did. This is what you did. This is what you did. This is the evidence. This is the evidence. Come, if you go to court, you are going to go in for it. But we don't want to waste our time in court. Just accept and let's enter into some bargaining. You just do 2 years in prison, you refund this and that, and we go home, we go to sleep. But in Nigeria, we put out the names without necessarily securing any evidence, without even investigation.
Is it even right to write names of people whose cases are in court that have not been found guilty, and an agent of the state, a serving minister, pronounces them looters?
I hold a very extreme view on this, and yes, because I, as a rights defender and promoter, I believe that there is freedom to express and to opinions, to hold opinions and to express those opinions. Either Lai Mohammed operating as an individual or as an agent of state, if he holds the opinion and he strongly believes that Uche Secondus is a thief, he has the right to express it. And just as Uche Secondus has the right to go to court to get injunctions and restraining orders against Lai Mohammed, that's the beauty of having the supremacy of law in a democracy. Just as it is, a citizen can reasonably perceive and say Buhari is a thief, he's corrupt. Don't mind whatever he's saying or he's doing. It's an opinion. And anybody who feels offended by the other opinion will now, institute action. And don't forget, defamation, there's also not only civil defamation, there's also criminal defamation. The reason why our criminal justice system presumes the innocent, our constitution, our jurisprudence presumes anybody to be innocent, is that in criminal law,
it is not only the act that grounds a conviction, but the mental element that the man actually has the intention to commit a crime and in fact did commit a crime or take steps to committing that crime. That's why, so that you see that the man was carrying out exploitation of a property, or he took money that didn't belong to him, until you are able to establish that mental guilt. Because he could have a superior reason which has given him that motivation. So I believe that Lai Mohammed can publish any name, whether the case is in court or not. Why should it? Why it stifles the right to freely hold opinion and express same. When you say just because the matter is in court, nobody should talk about it. So Lai Mohammed, I believe, was very free, even though he was an agent of the state, to say that look, this person is a thief because of the pieces of information that are available to us.
Oh yeah, let me hear you. Let me hear you now. What are you saying?
These are names.
Yes.
From this place down to this place.
Yes.
It's just one person's name, handwriting.
Okay.
Now from here down to this length here.
Yes.
Even the signatures are almost.
And apart from that, they are putting our name there. Yeah. And we didn't sign. We don't know the kind of put our name.
Okay.
The best senator so far in Federal Republic of Nigeria is Senator Dino Malai. We are not recalling him. We recall the stupid governor we have in Kogi State. We can't recall Dino.
Thank you very much.
Post it.
Let me have another view again. How many other view?
Yes. This is my name.
Yes.
Why you going to put your name?
This is my name.
Yes.
And you didn't sign.
It's my signature.
Okay.
It's not just my name. The rest of my siblings are here, and I know their signatures very well.
All their Adamas. All the Adamas family.
This is my younger brother again. So who is the ghost that signed this? That signed this one. That's the question. Because these names all went alphabetically.
We are not recalling Dino.
That is the simple thing. We are
recalling the governor.
I beg I found my wife. We didn't sign it, and our names are there.
We didn't sign, and they are putting our name there.
And they are photos. What we are doing.
We want to recall the governor, not Dino. The best senator so far in this country.
One more transmission.
Let me come to you, Austin. I mean, from the conversation we've had so far, there seems to be what one could call disintimidation. But what I think we've been able to also establish is that the intimidation, if there is one, is not just for people that are not members of the APC. Even APC members are also being, in quotes, intimidated. And like Tietie alluded when we started, he said, he insinuated that this Luther's thing, you won't find APC people in it. And I've heard people say that if you had an issue as a PDP member being accused of corruption, if you crossed over to the APC, it went cold. What can the people do? What can we as Nigerians do, civil society, the media, even the politicians themselves? What can we do to, bring back this government on track so that they understand that for democracy to thrive, there must be different voices and different opinions?
First, I'll speak to what the media can do. The media is the fourth estate of the realm. But, when everyone, you shape opinion via this arm. Because the media the kind of message that come from the media tend to galvanize the kind of support that come from the civil society organizations or ordinary citizens of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What the media, I think they should do now, or I think we all should do, including media taking a step ahead, is to begin to put us back on track what are those things that are needed in democracy? Like you said, you cannot run away from opposition. If opposition is gone, then there is no, that's not in a democracy anymore. In the great United States of America of today, there is still the Trump, even though Trump is the opposition of his own self, but there's opposition coming from the Democrat. Always putting even there's opposition within the party anyway, just like we have in Nigeria. If you don't have the opposition in this country, we're going to a situation where we now have one party system. We are going back to 1999. At the time in this country, we are just one PDP. If you are not in PDP, you are not in a political party. Gradually, we are building on a trajectory democratically, and we are moving towards an Eldorado state. But it's like where we are going now, we are returning back to where we are coming from. Then, for the civil society organization, we need to hold government to account. What were the promises that was given to us in 2015? Can we then fall back and begin to look at those promises? Let's look at the promises in housing, in human rights, in infrastructure, in women inclusion. Let's begin to look at, let's begin to score governmental processes. Let's check the true independence of the judiciary. Let's check the true independence of the legislative arm. Let's check the true independence of even the executive and the state apparatus, security apparatus that are being used. If you look at the happenings in the Middle Belt, Benue, Nasarawa, Taraba, even Plateau, and all of the killings that has happened, from January 1 to April the 25th, there has been about 89 killing actions that has led to thousands of people being killed. What is being done? If you are not speaking out today against what's happening in Benue, in Nasarawa, when it gets to you, no one will be upstanding to speak for you. So states like Edo, Delta, Rivers, Lagos, and all of these other states, including those ones in Kano and Kaduna, even though Kaduna is also affected, but they need to begin to speak up now. The days of speaking up against injustices now. And like Martin Luther King said, injustice anywhere. It's a threat to justice everywhere. We are in a state right now where injustice is is going on a daily basis. That no one fears anything. If you belong to the system, all other person can go to hell. That's where we are gradually going down. Even the press, there's been a series of press intimidation too. Premier Times head was arrested at the time. We also know that the head of Osiwa was also questioned. And there's been that, whether you call it intimidation or you call it surveillance or whatever you call it, even within a civil society organization. When you see civil society actors, even my friend Tete was questioned, but I don't know what it was asked. By the time they see you have a voice, you are becoming like speaking truth to power. The next thing you get an invitation from the DSS. So whatever you are told, they have to tell you, come on, stop with the talk, we are watching you. Maybe if you are the type that do not have the boldness to continue to speak, you go silo. I think that's one of the things that happened to Dino and a few other people. Just, Dino, quiet! I say quiet! And they refuse. That's what's happening. And the funny thing is that if you shut a Dino's mouth, you are going to raise more people. That's the logic. And what the authorities don't know, you shut down Dino, you're going to raise more people. And that will continue to... 2019 is just about 8 months away or less than that. Now, any action the government take, the government of the day, any action they take, people will misinterpret it and begin to question 2019 election. With the $498 million for the procurement of arms or the aircraft, people are looking at 2019 election. With the request for whatever, with the delayed budget process, budget passage, people are looking at 2019 election. Everything now is aiming at 2019 election. But lastly, I will say, to continue change or to change whatever name you like, every citizen need a PVC. Go get yours. The continual voter registration is currently ongoing, and you cannot by 2019 you start saying we wanted this government to continue and you didn't vote, or you wanted this government out and you didn't vote. So you need to take an action, and you are responsible. Every citizen has a responsibility to play now ahead of 2019 election.
I think we need to go back to the basics of the theory of the state and the role of government and the players in government. The state exists for the people, the good of the people. The state has its own servants, different from the servants of the government. The servants of the state are not the servants of the government. So I'm trying to speak to issues of law enforcement here and the need for us to have independent law enforcement agencies like the police.
and especially state institutions like the State Security Service, or popularly known as the DSS. We have other state institutions like the NIA and many other state institutions that exist to ensure that the Nigerian state exists. But when the distinction between those who run a government and those who operate the state, when that distinction is blurred, it becomes a problem. For example, we need to have some committed men who run our law enforcement agencies, who are not committed to any individual, who are not committed to any political party or ideology, but they are committed to the principles of ensuring that the constitution is observed, the president is protected, because the president is president because as a result of the will of the people, that everything that threatens the peace and good governance of this country is eliminated, and the good of the people at all times is promoted. And this can only be assured when there is a commitment to observing, the provisions of law. So law enforcement must realize that it is not enforcing the will of government, but it is enforcing law. And law is what the courts say, or what the National Assembly makes as law, not what the president says. You must understand that. Because the president and his staff who make up the Federal Civil Service and a large section of the public service are meant to carry out whatever the National Assembly, that is the legislature, does, and also carry out by way or implement whatever the courts say. So let us, let law enforcement realize that there becomes a problem when it is being used to unenforce the law, to negative the law. That is what makes us to be unprogressive as a country, to be stagnated as a country. That is the reason why there is palpable fear among the citizens. Don't think the citizens don't talk, but they are afraid to talk, and they also know that it is futile to talk. Don't you think that the citizenry is aware of what's happening to Dino, or the fear that is hanging on the Senator Shehu Sani, that he will soon face a murder charge just because he's critical? Even though there are a repertoire of several confessions of persons who say that they have been paid to say that Shehu Sani, to implicate Shehu Sani. Why are all these persons facing persecution, particularly in the Senate? Because we don't even hear anything from the House of Representatives. We don't hear anything from the houses, various state houses of assemblies. It is only in the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that you still hear some dissenting voices who do not really speak with that mind to bring down the government, but to challenge the government. But the response they are getting so far has been that has created fear in the citizenry. So my appeal is to law enforcement, whether, especially the ones that work for the state, to realize that they owe the people a responsibility and not individuals.
Austin, looked like you wanted to
I just wanted to drop on the table that you can't challenge the law enforcement because he who plays the piper dictates the tone.
The executive does not pay the law enforcement.
They appoint the police IG is appointed by the president, even though it's subject to the Senate. The DG of DSS is appointed by the president. He runs the president's show. You have the Minister of Defense who is appointed by the president, who runs the president's show. See, we run an architecture that is beyond.
But gentlemen, loyalty to the nation or loyalty to the president? Which one?
Loyalty to the nation should be number one.
Loyalty to the state. But we are not yet a nation. Oh. We are a state. The state is a gargantuan phenomenon. I mean, setup. Are you getting me? it is very difficult to define, but it is easy to say that it constitutes a geographical entity. It has a people, and then it possesses that element of law called sovereignty.
The people did not appoint the
IGBE. I'm coming. No, the people are represented in the National Assembly. So the reason why they say the presidential appointment was subject to the confirmation of Senate is that the people must approve of it. That's the idea of checks and balances.
Okay, gentlemen, I think that the discussion on loyalty will be for another day. And I must thank you two gentlemen for coming on the show. Frank Tietie, human rights lawyer.
My pleasure.
Always a pleasure to have you. Austin AIGBE, Senior Program Officer at Center for Democracy and Development. Thanks for coming on the show.
To be honored 24/7.
And I thank you for watching. Don't forget, you can watch this program again or watch any of our old programs if you go to signaturetv.com.ng. You can reach us by email, through WhatsApp, or any of our social media platforms. And until we meet again on this program, I am Vin Martin Obiora Ilo from the Signature Studios in Abuja, Nigeria, wishing you a wonderful day.